Hey folks, and welcome to TK Power Sports. Today we're taking a closer look at the 2024 Honda Pioneer 520. If you are looking for a basic, no-frills work machine that can still fit in the bed of a pickup truck, well, we have one right here. So in this video, we're going to do a walk around. I'll show you all the features, and we'll talk about maybe one of the more compelling parts of this Honda, that is the price. Let's get into it. Let's start by going over the important numbers. So length here measures in at 105 inches. The width comes in at just 50 inches, while the wheelbase measures 73 inches. Honda says the ground clearance here is 8.5 inches, while the wet weight, and that includes all required fluids, comes in at 1,067 pounds. Let's do a walk around now and look at the details on this Pioneer. So you do get a nice big steel exposed bumper out here. I like that. And now on this machine, because it's base, there's really no extra features added. But if you went to the accessories catalog, you could get things like a winch up front, but we don't have any of that stuff today. So coming down, we can look at the suspension. And again, you can tell this is a basic machine. All you have is preload adjustment at the bottom, and that is it. No clickers or anything like that. Suspension travel here is just 5.8 inches in the front and 5.9 in the rear. So not really impressive travel numbers, but if you're just working, that doesn't matter nearly as much. Now looking down at the tires, first of all, just plain steel wheels. These days it feels like everything's aluminum alloy. We always get usually the top trim fancy models. Here, just plain black steelies. I love those. And then 24-inch tires, and in the back they're 24s too, but they're slightly wider. So rolling back, you can see we get this kind of combo half-door net setup. They open just like that. I do kind of like it because if you did want to take these nets out, you can do that. But of course, for safety, it's nice to leave them in there too. And it's not like you're fiddling around with a bunch of different clips or anything. There's just the one control there, door opens, and you're good to go. Now we get to the back of the machine. That didn't take long because it's so small. And here is what is arguably the most important part of this Pioneer 520, the dump bed. So previous to 2021, Honda offered the Pioneer 500, and it didn't have a dumping bed. Obviously, they heard from customers that that wasn't okay. This is a requirement on basically any utility model nowadays. So in 2021, they brought out the 520. They added 43 cc's of displacement, so the engine got a bit bigger, and they added this dump bed right here. So there are handles. Oh, sorry, there's no handle on the passenger side. There's just a handle over here on the driver's side. We grab it, and up it goes. Again, a pretty simple functionality, but it is so important. And you'll notice too, there is a gas assist shock, so it's not like you have to lift all that weight on your own. It's gonna also help you lift up a little bit. Now, other important features on the bed. First of all, there's two separate clasps back here, metal clasps that open and close the bed. Some just small wires to hold your tailgate. Looking inside, I like that you get D-rings in the corners, and then they throw one extra D-ring right there in the center. And you get these bucket cutouts. You'll notice that. So if you are, hauling a bucket, they're actually going to sit in there. Plus these cutouts in the walls. So if you want to add lumber dividers, you can do that too. And all of the Honda Pro accessories will also mount up to this bed. So yes, having the dump bed, super important. And whoops, forgot to clasp it. And if you're wondering about the numbers, this thing can take 450 pounds in it, which is not a bad number. And then for towing, you'll see down there, you do get a hitch receiver, not the classic 2-inch, but still you get a hitch receiver. Tow rating on this model is 1,000 pounds. With the bed popped, we get access to the engine in here. Now again, this is a 518cc single-cylinder liquid-cooled engine. And yes, in 2021, they added this larger engine here over the old 500. And Honda said that specifically, the engine prioritizes low-end torque. Now, power output is right around 30 horsepower. And in this case, it's sent through a 5-speed automatic transmission. So there are no belts here in typical Honda Honda fashion, this is a gear-on-gear transmission. So that should help with some of that low-end torque, because I should also mention there is no low range here. So there is no gear reduction. Basically, the lowest gearing you're going to get is just by sticking it in first. Now, looking under here, good access to your breather box right here, so you can change out your air filter. You can also see where it's bringing in air. The one thing I kind of don't see is the engine, which is hidden under this plastic cover, and the spark plugs are up in there as well. So, and once again, the engine is pushed pretty far forward, almost right in the center of this machine to give you that sort of mid-engine feel. And that's all about packaging too. In such a small machine, it can be kind of tricky to fit everything in. So yes, it's nice to have this access. Most machines with a dump bed give you this. Open it up and you can get in here and work on your Honda. So let's look inside now, and on any utility machine, I'm always looking for storage. I want as much storage as possible. So first of all, I'll point out there's no adjustability in these seats. They are fixed, and yes, it's just a two-seater. I mean, it's only 50 inches wide, so that's all you could really fit in here. Now, the backs of these seats do pop out to reveal this. You know, it's funny, I would say there's a tiny bit of storage, but Honda actually writes right on here, no storage. So they do not want you to put anything under there. On the driver's side, you get this little rubber flap, which you open up just like that, and that gives you access down there to some brake lines, but more importantly, to your dipstick. So to check your oil, you're going to be coming through this little rubberized flap, and then you can see they've also got some tools stored here and some electrical connections. So that's under the seat, but yeah, sadly, no storage down there. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of storage. Let me climb in. So, looking for other storage, yeah, there's not a lot. I'm surprised there's no glove box here. That seems like a big miss. Even up in this cavity here, you think you could have another storage bin, but there's not really much built in. We do have cup holders, which is appreciated, but that's about it. If you're storing things in this Pioneer, it's basically back there in the dump bed, which makes that dump bed that much more important. So now let's just talk about, first of all, the ergonomics. I stand at 6'2", and I fit in here okay. Even if there was a roof, I feel like I would have enough headroom. Yeah, if you put another one of me in here or put Dad beside me, we'd be rubbing elbows a little bit, but that's what you get going for a 50-inch machine. That's going to happen with any of these machines. And of course, the advantage is this thing fits in the bed of a pickup truck. You can see it here. Dad picked it up with his Chevy 3500, and it fit in the bed. And with the 8-foot bed, he almost could close the tailgate. So that's really the advantage to the small size here, is just how, you know, compact and portable this thing is. And then, of course, when you're out on the trails or working around your shop like we have here, it's nice to be able to fit into small places. So yes, with 2 people, it's going to be small, but that's just the nature of this machine. Now, looking at the controls, again, things here are very basic. I'll turn the key on. We do have a small little screen here in the center. Gives you your basic information, speed, of course, the time, odometer, a trip, coolant temp, your hour meter, and then there's also a service meter. And this has become fairly standard in the industry now too, but I love to see it even on the most basic models. It will tell you when the machine is due for service, so that is nice. Other controls here. Here's for the transmission. You have manual and automatic. Now, to control the transmission, you have to use the paddle shifters back here. That's the only way you can shift. In manual mode, like it sounds, you have to shift. In automatic, it will shift for you. And the one interesting shift procedure I'll point out is reverse. To get into reverse, you got to pull this little guy down here, downshift on that left paddle through neutral, and then it goes into reverse. So that's sort of an interesting design, a little bit different than on most other machines. And then the final control here is just 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. So depending on what you want, you can shift that guy right there. Oh yeah, and I'll show you the parking brake is way down here on the floor. I think that's probably just because the rear has a single disc brake on the drive shaft, and this is perfectly lined up with it, so they didn't have to, you know, route it and use a lot of cable or wire to put the handle up here in the dash. Again, this is an affordable machine, so everything here has just been put together with an eye towards keeping it affordable, including things like that parking brake down there. So yeah, you know what? It's a decent little interior. I just wish it had more storage up here in the dash. Final thing I'll show you is access under the hood up here. So it pops off quite easily. And essentially you get access to your coolant system. Here's your super cute little radiator right up here in the front, which is nice. And then there's your coolant reservoir there. Another nice thing, you'll see a bit of extra wiring here. That's going to be for accessories, things you want to add on. So it's nice that Honda's done some of that work for you too. So you can add some things on. And then even like your steering rack is totally exposed and you can get down there to your front differential. So this hood coming off, once again, is all about just access into your machine. I would have liked to have seen a little storage bin here. It seems like Honda could have done that, but like I keep referencing, everything they've done here is with an eye towards affordability. So now let's finally get to that price. So in the United States, this unit, as it sits, is going to cost $10,000, a little bit above once you include destination pricing. And then here in Canada, this unit, including destination, is right around $16,000. So at 10 grand, it's a pretty compelling argument for this nice little compact side-by-side. You can carry 2 people, haul stuff in a dumping bed, and then still tow 1,000 pounds. At $16,000, it doesn't feel quite as compelling, but that is sort of the story here in Canada these days. We always pay more for just about everything. So yeah, I don't know. At 16, I don't feel as good about it. But at 10 grand, this thing feels properly affordable. And that's one of the most important parts because you can get an ATV for that price or a side-by-side if you go for something like this Pioneer 520. So you have to ask yourself, what's going to give me more utility? What am I doing? Do I need the dump bed? If I do, you're going to go for the side-by-side. It is nice that you have a machine like this that is at price parity with a lot of the ATVs out there on the market. So yeah, folks, that is it for this one. I think we covered all the features on this Honda Pioneer 520, and now I need to hear from you. So please drop into the comments. Let me know what you think of this little machine. Let me know how you want me to test it, because we're going to release a full testing video. I plan on loading it up to capacity. Heck, I want to overload this thing and see how it handles with some real weight back there in the bed. So that's my plan, but please let me know what you want to see out of a full review. And then as always, while you're down there leaving me that comment, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of TK Power Sports, and then come right back here to the channel to see what we're testing next. See ya.